Hi, I'm Georgia and welcome to William Buck, a firm that is reimagining the way advisors work. Come with me and take a peek behind closed doors. Exceptional advice comes from passionate people who feel empowered to shape outcomes. Our teams include audit and assurance, business advisory, corporate finance, restructuring and insolvency, superannuation, tax and wealth advisory. These teams work together to create a tangible impact for our clients. Events such as staff breakfasts, colleague lunches, trivia nights and regular parties allow our people to build relationships inside and out of the office. And between our social club and run club, there's something for everyone. William Buck is the perfect place to start, grow or take your career to the next level. We have robust training to aid growth opportunities and boost career development. Changing lives is our underlying philosophy, and the William Buck Foundation formalises our community and volunteer initiatives, allowing us to better work with charities and organisations most in need. Your physical and mental well-being is super important to us. Our flexible workplace allows you to better balance your professional and personal life. And we're lucky enough to have an in-house psychologist to help you be your best. If you want to join a company where friendships are made and careers are built, then come on over to a firm that's delivering more than just advice.
I'm here at Urban Surf supporting the Bright Sky and Forward Ability adaptive surfing event, and super excited to see first timers to people like Sam Bloom who have competed on the world stage.
Got over 30 surfers here registered to jump in the water with us today, and there's a real buzz, lots of excitement. Bright Sky and Forward, we've been around for 64 years supporting people with spinal cord injury, and through Bright Sky we're able to fund an event like this.
I'm excited, it's electric out here, so much energy.
There is a huge crew, the weather has turned it on, it's going to be a sick day, I'm super keen, get some waves with some mates.
We're lucky to have Sam Bloom here. She's a great ambassador for forward ability support, but also a great advocate for surfing.
Sick event. It's cool to have so many surfers out here, and wild setup with Urban Surf and Bright Sky and Cyberwood, and yeah, it's going to be bad.
You couldn't get a better setup for getting into surfing for adaptive athletes.
It's incredible that Bright Sky and Forward Ability have put this event on and have made it happen, and yeah, obviously with the support of Cyberwood. So no, it's awesome. I hope we'll do many more events like this.
The Paralympic Games is the world's largest international sporting event for athletes with a disability. Growing from humble beginnings following World War II, when veterans participated in sport to help rehabilitate serious injuries, the Paralympic movement has grown exponentially in size and scale since the first Paralympic Games in Rome in 1960. Held every 2 years, alternating between summer and winter games, the Paralympics now provides a platform for para-athletes with a diverse range of impairments to showcase their ability to billions of viewers. Delivering a unique combination of ever-improving athletic performance and increasing global awareness, the Paralympics is recognised as the world's leading sporting movement for driving social inclusion, transforming attitudes, and improving lives.
This is what it's all about!
Using a process known as classification, para-athletes are grouped together with competitors with similar impairments to ensure fair competition. Athletes with a physical, vision, or intellectual impairment may compete in para-sport. Athletes with a vision impairment. Some para-athletes are completely blind, while others have low vision. Each sport has different rules and equipment for athletes with a vision impairment. For example, in cycling and alpine skiing, athletes train and compete with an able-bodied guide. In other sports, such as goalball, all athletes wear blindfolds, regardless of their level of impairment, to make competition fair. Athletes with an intellectual impairment. Athletes with an intellectual impairment have difficulty with their learning, communication, and social skills. While they are highly capable of dealing with the physical demands of their sport, athletes may need extra time and assistance to plan competition tactics and learn new skills. Athletes with a physical impairment. Athletes with a physical impairment form the largest group of competitors within the Paralympic movement. Physical impairments which can be classified for Paralympic sport include loss of limbs, coordination impairments from conditions such as cerebral palsy or brain injury, muscle weakness, restricted joint movements, short stature, and leg length difference. In all parasports, no matter what the classification or disability group, there are dedicated athletes who focus on their ability and strive to be the best they can be. Whether athletes want to compete at the elite level or just for fun and fitness, there are opportunities to get involved in parasport today. For more information, visit www.paralympic.org.au.
G'day everyone, I'm Clarence McCarthy-Grogan. I play for the Southern District Spartans and we're here at Narrandjeri Stadium for Kevin Coombs' Indigenous Round. The Indigenous Round is so important because it shows the sport of wheelchair basketball that was led by Uncle Kevin Coombs, an Indigenous Paralympian and just an all-round great guy and a very inspirational leader for not just Indigenous wheelchair basketballers but people all around the country because of what he had to go through and trailblazed. It feels really cool to have all the teams here. It's almost like a bit of a finals sort of weekend if the vibe is like that. It's just great to have that social interaction with everybody because we don't actually get to see each other too often throughout the season. You know, just great to see everyone at one location for the first time. Having Indigenous Round to kick off NAIDOC Week is awesome. It's an awesome concept. We're down here in Melbourne. You know, it's pretty cold for me coming from Darwin, but look, it's a great concept because it showcases what wheelchair basketball is all about, inclusivity, and it's just great to showcase wheelchair basketball and the Indigenous athletes that do play wheelchair basketball at the highest level in the country.
From the ancient dust of the Red Centre to the saltwater coasts where we meet today, Wheelchair Basketball Australia acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands across this nation where we gather, train and play. We stand on the shoulders of giants, honouring the spirit of the first Indigenous Australian to wear the green and gold at an Olympic or Paralympic Games. Their journey is etched into the very fabric of our league. Across every court and every community, we celebrate the enduring spirit of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Together, we share in a legacy of strength, culture, and the game we love.
Welcome to Roland Cowan Stadium, Karina, on the Gold Coast in Queensland, in the northern states of Australia, for this round 5 clash in the National Wheelchair Basketball League. It's the home Southern District Spartans, supported by Karina Leagues Club, up against the belt-up Perth Wheelcats, as we see the players just shaking hands, or hand slapping, as is the vogue now, and acknowledging the officials, our 3 officials for today's game, Riley Spicer, Laura Conway and Brody Compich. My name's Brendan Parnell. I'm joined for this morning's game, this morning if you're in Australia, 10 a.m. Queensland time, by Campbell Fraser, a man who's actively involved in the coaching space, the high-performance coaching space, and has played the game of wheelchair basketball, thus being able to explain things a little more intricately for the viewers. Campbell, this is the third of 3 games. We've seen the Perth Wheelcats take the first 2 encounters to leap ahead of the Southern District Spartans in the standings. What are you expecting this morning?
Yeah, I think the Perth Wheelcats have obviously looked really strong across this set against the Southern District Spartans. The Spartans not playing with kind of their lead and their helm, Ethan Laird, coming off the Commonwealth Games, the 3x3 that he played earlier this week, really, and he is on the floor at the moment. He's there, not playing, but he is there to coach and kind of give the team a little bit more confidence. I think, hopefully going into this third game. That second game, they came away with a 16-point loss, which is something that they could bring back, and I think they'd be looking at that, knowing the first game they lost a little bit harder. And I think they'll look for a way forward to at least kind of close that gap a little bit and kind of keep the Wheelcats in contention and a little bit more competitive than they were able to in that first game.
Yeah, we saw on the screen there, and we can see at the moment the Southern District Spartans, their entire roster. You mentioned, of course, that Ethan Laird somehow made his way back from Glasgow, the Australian Wombats winning the gold medal over there in the 3x3, beating England in the final. It's remarkable that he's back in the country, and knowing what a competitive young man he is, I'm sure it's frustrating for him in some sense to be only restricted to sitting on the sideline. And also for the Southern District Spartans, CJ McCarthy-Grogan not available today. So it's very much a development squad for head coach Tom Kyle, and he's going to have to pull some tricks out of his bag to ensure they remain competitive with a Perth Wheelcats lineup that features 2 of the current Australian Rollers team who were in Toronto recently for the Toronto Invitational, beating the Americans in the final of that contest, Frank Pinder and Jake Kavanagh. They're both starting today, along with Jordan Moritz, Cooper Spillane, and of course the league's 4th leading scorer, Benjamin Moncrief, averaging a little over 21 points a game. And for the Spartans, their starting lineup, Luke McDowell, Braden Foxley Connolly, Hayden Seabar, who of course is also a member of the current Roller squad, was featured in Toronto, Zach Binns and Nikia Fatau. It's the Wheelcats in their dark uniforms and the home Spartans in the white. The officials get things underway. First possession with the Perth Wheelcats. Spillane skips it across to Kavanagh. He's good straight away.
You can tell that the way that the Spartans are playing defense is potentially they're just kind of figuring out who they're willing to jump, who's going to be the competitive one for the Wheelcats. They kind of change who their scorers are through across a lot of their games. Jake Kavanagh just saying, if you're going to leave me out here to fire, I'm going to fire every single time.
Pass gets away there from Benz. He's in a bit of trouble. And in fact, they've turned it over. Inauspicious first possession there. Ball back with the Wheelcats. We saw a bit of backcourt pressure there. It'll be interesting to see if they persist with that. It's a tactic as Moncrief uses the screen expertly. Gets down to make the uncontested layup. Benz kicks it ahead to Fatau. He's got plenty of defensive pressure on him. But it freed up Foxley Connolly. He switched hands at the last minute, caught the underside of the rim. He skipped ahead, poked away from Moncrief. Frank Pinder decides he likes the look of that one. Can't get it to go. Foxley Connolly the rebound. The long pass ahead's turned over. Pinder cradles the ball to protect it. Pass inside Moncrief. Goes glass and converts. We've got an early timeout. Head coach Tom Kyle not happy with something he saw there. Maybe the backcourt pressure, Campbell, they were or were not expecting.
Yeah, I think it's just that transition, not being able to get the ball up the court and really get it up the court in a way that's useful to them. I think they're looking at throwing that long pass. And against certain teams, that long pass will work. For certain teams, it works. But I think when you've got someone like Ben Moncrief, who is just absolutely towering over any pass that's going to be made, it's going to be incredibly hard to get those passes to get where they need to go. And I think they've got to play a little bit more of those screens, more of those cuts to allow a fast break to get through, kind of break that pressure a little bit. We saw it there before with the layout that Brad Foxley Connolly couldn't make, but they did end up breaking that pressure, not by wild passes, but just by quick movement and getting around and through the defense. I think the defense wasn't really talking as much as it needs to when a break like that happens.
Okay, ball with the Spartans, of course, in their white uniforms. Benz to get things underway. Goes to Foxley Connolly, who did have a double team on him. Straight back to Benz. Effectively, the pressure is broken. Benz wheels around, looking inside. Nothing available at the moment. Kicks it across. Foxley Connolly, the left-hander. That shot's off again.
That's going to be a difficult position for the Southern District Spartans if they're going to be forced into those outside shots. I suspect we'll have a couple rotations come in just to put a little bit more pressure. They've got Jake Fullwood on the bench, who sits in more of that high pointer role and can actually get inside the paint and be a little bit of pressure there. So I think the Spartans need to find a way to get inside, not taking those outside shots.
Ball gets across, long pass from Benz. Dow, nice bounce pass. McDowell with the finish. Spartans are underway. They'll be breathing a sigh of relief on the bench. Frank Pinder, one of the world's elite low point players. Kavanagh. Goes to Spillane. His first shot's off. Transition chance for the Spartans. Pass just forced McDowell a little wide. He comes back, finds Foxley Connolly. He might have rushed that a fraction. Defensive pressure was good. Spillane streaming the other way as we see a foul. Substitutions for the Spartans.
I think they overheard me. It's Jake Fullwood coming straight in to be a little bit of that height and that pressure. I think that's really the only answer that they have for someone like Ben Moncrief, who is he's still taller than Jake Fullwood, but at least Jake gives a little bit of danger and a little bit of pressure to that shot if Ben Moncrief wants to get inside and post up.
Jordan Moritz unable to reel that pass in. Wheelcats with their first turnover. McDowell for the Spartans. Picked up by Moncrief. Moritz comes to help. McDowell skips it back. Ball around to Binns. He looks at 3. It's a little right. Have another rebound. Flips to Moncrief. He pushes transition. Spartans really not back efficiently enough. Moncrief gets a shot he probably would normally make. Gets an offensive rebound. Dribbles to the middle. Goes finger roll. Can't get it to go. Another offensive rebound. Avoids the contact and goes glass to finish. It's another turnover. Long pass. Spillane inside. Exchange of passing to Moncrief. He finishes. Lovely second pass from Moritz there.
Yeah, that's a really nice pass from Jordan Moritz, knowing that the defender that is against Jake Forward, you're never getting a pass over him, actually going under the arms and around him. So it's one of those things, especially in the wheelchair game, that bounce pass or kind of lower line passes can be really useful to get around the height that some players have.
The Spartans, everything going wrong at the moment. They threw that inbound pass directly off the wheel of one of their own players. Turned it over again. Cooper Spillane's allowed to roll into a 3. That's off. Moritz held off from the rebounding contest. Straha with the ball. They flipped it across, but it's another turnover. Really left Hayden Seabar with nowhere to go there. He's already tight-roping the sideline.
This is the struggle that the Spartans will have throughout this entire game, and what they had in the first 2 games as well, is just not having that ball handler, not having that person that's quite as comfortable as Ethan Laird is usually for the Spartans. It's not that any of the Spartans can't necessarily ball handle, but they just work so well around his style of ball handling. They're so used to it this late in the season that having him out for the moment is a difficult thing.
Frank Pinder picks up a foul in the backcourt there. Just his first. Spartans marooned on 2 points halfway through the first quarter. This round 5 clash, National Wheelchair Basketball League, coming to you from Roland Cowan Stadium in Carina on the Gold Coast. Another one goes astray. The Spartans, Moncrief, towering over the rest of the players on the court, drives baseline, flips it up, but only catches the bottom of the backboard, but no luck for the Spartans again. They've bounced it off a wheel, one of their own wheels, and turned it over.
I think it's just that little bit of care with the ball, just protect the ball, slow things down a little bit. I think the pace that the Perth Wheelcats are trying to set is really kind of toppling the Spartans, and they're almost feeling like they have to match the pace, have to speed up. It's definitely not the way that they're going to be able to move forward without someone like Ethan Laird. He is the pace that they usually like, and the Wheelcats are really kind of utilising that and forcing them to play into their style.
Fatau, notionally running the point. Responsibilities at the moment. Seabar drives baseline, gets round past a couple. Flicks a pass back. Ryan Williams saw that deflected. Ball will stay with the Spartans. Forward, baseline. Uses his height to get that up and over and in. Moncrief pushing the other way. Plenty of encouragement from both the benches. Moncrief goes glass, can't get it to go. It's sat up for a second. Forward now, pushing transition. On the baseline. Seabar manages to get that up and over. Shot cost becoming an issue. Seabar's going to have to launch something here. He does. Catches the side of the backboard. The Wheelcats are off and rolling. Frank Pinder, a nice little pass fake there. Gets right down, makes the layup.
I really like that decision to almost look for that pass, and I think he did genuinely think about it for a second, but opting to just take the line that he had, trust himself. I think often players get caught up in the idea that the high pointer is the shooter, the guard inside is the one to get the ball to. That's not necessarily true when they guarded that heavily.
Nice pass inside. Seabar able to finish. Here we don't see too many magic tricks from Frank Pinder. He's normally down in the trenches more, but he's certainly a lovely body shimmy previously. As Moritz is on target from the mid-range. Wheelcats leading by 8. Forward with the ball for the Spartans. Drives baseline. Single coverage, but the single coverage is Moncrief, so quite the obstacle to get around. Forward. Flips it back. Pass finds its way down to Fatau. His shot's off. Moncrief again. Probing. Cut off by Fatau. Wheels back to the middle. Throws a no-look pass. Intended for Frank Pinder, just a little in front of him. And particularly with the low point players, the passes have got to be in the catching space.
Yeah, I think that pass was a little bit of potentially Ben Moncrief just having a little bit more fun and then playing a little bit loose there. I think that pass was a couple seconds after it was called for, and the call was right. It would have, if it had gotten there when the call was, it would have been a nice drive. But Frank Pinder was already pulling out of that driving lane and was never going to be able to reel that back in.
Fatau tries to pass inside to Fullwood. Even the long arms of Fullwood can't get hold of that. It's poked away. Moncrief coming the other way. Been plenty of this already this first quarter. Transition. Kane Downey. This is the first one. Gets the offensive rebound. Converts the second. Seabar inside to Fullwood. And finally gets something to go. Speaking earlier about promising young players, Kane Downey, of course, one of those for the Wheelcats. Just a matter of him finding enough playing time to try and figure out his craft. This high performance level as Moncrief makes one from the baseline.
Yeah, Kane Downey's a really interesting one for the Wheelcats. He's still kind of finding exactly where he plays. He's in a midpoint role. He's a 3. That means he either has to play up and play tall like a high pointer, or be more of that ball handler that the mid to lows tend to be. And I think he's playing more into that high pointer role, but he's just kind of trying to figure out how he does it. He's got so much height that when he gets inside the paint, he really is a strong finisher inside the paint. But being a slightly lower point class, he struggles with a little bit of that stability, especially with his height. And I think he just needs a little bit of that experience, a little bit more time to learn how to play with that.
Ben Moncrief goes boom from 3. It's the last thing the Spartans wanted. They're happy to go under all the screens there. Moncrief took advantage. Wheelcats coach Sean Norris roaming through his bench. With Kale on the floor at the moment, along with Nate Hongstreet. Spartans getting much needed mid-range shot. They still trail by 11. Moncrief drives middle, plenty of contact there. Basket's waved away. Moncrief a little confused. A blocking foul is the call, but the official absolutely certain about what he'd called, that the contact was before the shot.
I think Ben Moncrief wanting just a little bit of continuation there. I think he was in the Able-Bod game. You could argue he was on his drive, on his layup, but it's a much harder thing to call that way in the wheelchair game.
Forward with the rebound as Moncrief tried another 3. Fatau gets his way right down into the paint. He's got Moncrief in front of him. Goes Glass, gets it to go. Nicky Fatau finding his range. Of course, a man with some New Zealand national program experience. Moncrief, mid-range. Can't get it to go, and that'll do us. Quarter time. It's been all Perth Wheelcats. They lead the Southern District Spartans 21-12, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I'm Georgia, and welcome to William Buck, a firm that is reimagining the way advisors work. Come with me and take a peek behind closed doors. Exceptional advice comes from passionate people who feel empowered to shape outcomes. Our teams include audit and assurance, business advisory, corporate finance, restructuring and insolvency, superannuation, tax, and wealth advisory. These teams work together to create a tangible impact for our clients.
Welcome back to the Gold Coast, Queensland, Northern Australia, Roland Cowan Stadium. For second quarter action here, the Southern District Spartans already created themselves a bit of a hole they'll need to try and dig their way out of. They trailed 21-12 after a turnover-strewn first quarter.
Yeah, the Southern District Spartans just struggling to find their way forward a little bit. I think they haven't quite found the scorers that they would necessarily rely on usually, and haven't really been able to find a way to get the ball up the floor. They've had several turnovers just from bad passes and that pressure that the Perth Wheelcats are putting on. Obviously, they've rotated to less experienced players now. They've kind of the Perth Wheelcats have got their comfortable lead. They're pretty happy with where they're at the moment. They'll give a lot of time to some less experienced players and players who don't necessarily get the minutes against some other teams in the league, but they're still quite the formidable team.
Yeah. Swaddling on the floor now. Amongst a heap of substitutions, Joel Swaddling for the Wheelcats, but straight away, Campbell, consecutive turnovers from the Spartans, passing turnovers to start the second quarter. That's one of the flatter shots you'll ever see. Kane Downey, I don't know how that got up and over the rim, but it did. Sucked down the through the net. Tau flips it inside. Shot's good. Binns finds himself in a bit of traffic trying to get out of there, but Spillane turns it over this time. McDowell with the steal. Another wayward pass. Binns reels it in. McDowell launches his shot from the wing. Can't get it to go. Downey the rebound. He's probing, cut off by Fatau. Swipes at the ball. Swaddling to Spillane. Downey looks at a three. That clangs off the backboard. Fatau switches hands. Gets the ball out of the backcourt. A bit of a different role for Fatau today. A lot of ball handling in the absence of Ethan Laird. He gets it back on the baseline. Finds a shot that he likes the look of. No, decides to pop it inside the Binns. Ball rebounds back to him. Shot clock running down. Fatau goes glass, but he's well short. Spillane flips a pass inside, but there's been some contact Probably denied a layup opportunity for the Wheelcats.
Yeah, I think that was potentially not. I don't want to say intentional foul, but I think that was the purpose of that foul was to shut down that lane. I think that was a dangerously open layup for someone like Kane Downey, who currently on the court is one of the taller players. So even being able to post up inside, he'd still be pretty comfortable.
Jake Kavanagh shows his class. The defenders there from the Spartans happy to go under the screen. Kavanagh calmly stroked mid-range shot. We might call it the European foul based on some of the tremendous action we saw in strategic fouling in some of the European teams at the Rollers against the World Challenge. As the Wheelcats commit a foul there. And free throws coming up.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty common thing. It's something that I always struggle with the word intentional. You don't want to say an intentional foul. It's not an unsportsmanlike foul, but you can definitely tell when players are aware of what they're doing. And one of the things that I like saying to players, fouls are not a bad thing, but commit fouls with intention. Know why you're committing that foul, and I think that's one of the things that some of these players do really well. Is to know when to use their fouls and know when to pull back as well.
Hayden Seabar off with the first. The second one sits up there. Takes 3 or 4 bounces around and falls in. Spillane thought about the 3 there. Gave a little head fake. Dribbled. There's a super quick spin. Flips it across to Kavanagh again. Spartans going under those screens. Kavanagh's such a controlled player that he will make you pay. That's repeatedly done. Binns on the move. Ball finds his way across to McDowell. Changes direction, gets to the middle. Nice bit of deception there. Ball inside for Tau. Has to twist his body sideways to try and get that shot up. He was directly under the rim when he caught that. Downey streaming the other way. Switches across the floor. Looks inside, finds Kavanagh. Lovely soft touch. Lead scorer Ben Moncrief may be off the floor, but Jake Kavanagh picking up the slack. Zach Binns does an impressive 540 spin there. 540 degrees. McDowell gets to the elbow, flips a lovely pass inside. He deserved a bit better. Hayden Seabar had to go to the left hand, couldn't quite get it to finish. As for Tau, commits a foul to stop a potential transition opportunity. A strategic foul, let's call it.
And I think, as you say, the Southern District Spartans, they're doing things well, but potentially not rewarding themselves and not getting the finishes that they deserve. They've had a few of those shots relatively inside the paint and in comfortable positions comparatively for what they've also been forced to shoot from the outside. They're just not able to finish those shots, not getting into a kind of comfortable rhythm, and I think they're just they're potentially a little bit stressed out. They know that they've lost the first 2. And they're in a pretty difficult position now with the 3rd.
Yeah, of course, Fatau's foul, while it may have been strategic, it was his 2nd. He's gone to the bench, and in the meantime, we've got a Wizard sighting. Sean Norris, 6-time Paralympian, head coach and occasional player, plays about 7 minutes a game. He's worth the price of admission alone any game, as he does a spin. He has the ball at the moment, flips a pass inside. Right on the money, of course. Unable to be finished, but offensive rebound. Frank Pinder, where did he come from? Gets the ball to Cooper Spillane, who finishes.
You can almost barely see Frank Pinder underneath the basket there, somehow able to get that ball away. I think that's something about the way that Frank Pinder plays. A lot of teams don't respect his ability to draw in boards. He's consistently a high rebounder for the Perth Wheelcats, and somehow he just gets away with it.
Zach Binns, it's a nice demonstration of range there. Just inside the 3-point line. Wizard with the ball now. Sean Norris flips it across. Spillane. Thought about the 3. Decides on the long 2. It's a little too long. McDowell, the rebound. He flips an outlet pass. Spartans doing a better job of getting the ball out of the backcourt. That's the pressure. Binns wheels his way around. Picked up by Downey. Binns flips it across. McDowell. Seabar. Left with a shooting opportunity as the Wizard went under that screen. He makes it.
That's a nice way for the Spartans to get at least something going. I think Hayden Seabar's been he's been a little bit hit and miss. He's a low point player. He's not necessarily expected to be a high shot maker, but he's just consistently in the position to take those shots. And I think they need to give him the ball and need to get those easy points just to get a little bit more comfort in the game here.
Kane Downey makes 2 for the Wheelcats. Spartans probing again. Binns growing in confidence. Finds forward inside. Can't get that to go. Did everything but fall down. Spillane the rebound. Plenty of defenders back for the Spartans. The Wizard inside. Settles on the 2. It's always almost a surprise when he shoots the ball rather than throws some sort of no-look pass or other creative means. We've got an offensive foul on McDowell there. Just moving around on that screen as Jake Fullwood tried to probe around towards the basket.
Yeah, that's such a frustrating foul. It was actually quite a nice screen, and he was doing pretty well to control both defenders for a second. But there was a little bit of hip movement, a little bit of movement forward, and just drawing in that contact. And it's one of those things that you can sometimes get away with. Sometimes when you're on the opposite side to the referee, sometimes they don't necessarily see it. When you're the only players down the court, you're directly in front of the referee. They see everything.
Moncrief back on the floor straight away with a 2 there. Nice pass from Kavanagh. Through the defenders. Forward, flips it ahead. Really fantastic transition there. The ball was barely in any player's hands for more than a fraction of a second. Moncrief, right wing. Can't get it to go. Binns the rebound. Held up in the backcourt. Plenty of traffic there and a foul's been detected. Moncrief, the transgressor there. As we're going to see a timeout, Tom Kyle wants to have a chat about things. Spartans have found a few ways to get themselves into offense, but the Wheelcats scoring just keeps piling on.
Yeah, I think every time the Southern District Spartans look to do something right, the Wheelcats just seem to be able to respond, doing something a little bit more, a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, a little bit harder. And I think that's what has been the struggle for the Spartans throughout these entire games, is just getting something consistent for them and getting a little bit of that momentum to change. I think they haven't been able to break the momentum that the Wheelcats set, and the Wheelcats are really showing no signs of letting up, even when they're putting through rotations. They're giving minutes to players that don't get as many minutes in some of the harder games that they'll play throughout the season. And meanwhile, the Southern District Spartans are forced to not have some of their more experienced players, and it really puts them in a difficult position.
The players roll back onto the floor here. 10 turnovers to this point for the Spartans compared to just 3 for the Wheelcats. And without Ethan Laird, really no three-point threat at all from the Spartans. They've yet to take an attempt. Not that the Wheelcats are exactly lighting things up. They're 1 of 8 from that area on the floor at the moment. Spartans with the ball in the white uniforms. This round 5 clash, the last of 3 between these two teams, coming to you from Roland Cowan Stadium, Carina on the Gold Coast. Just to prove me wrong, Zach Binns lines up and makes a 3. Kavanagh left wide open for 3, just goes boom to respond.
think that's what you have to call the commentator curse. As soon as you bring up anything that the players are doing, aren't doing, it's immediately answered.
I will take responsibility for that one. Campbell. Binns drives baseline. Nice little flip pass inside to forward. Can't get it to go. Gets an offensive rebound. Comes back. Can't get it to go. The long arms again. Just can't quite reel it in. Moncrief. He's off and rolling the other way. Symptomatic of the morning for the Spartans as the Wizards still on the floor. Finds a way to make a layup off that Moncrief pass.
Some really beautiful plays that Sean Norris sets up. I really should take note of when they happen to show other players these moments that he gets into the paint, he gets to his position and just waits. He's such a patient player. He waits for the moment. He waits for that pass that he can dish off, waits for the ball to come back to him. There's something so beautiful about the way that he plays. He plays so calm, so collected, and that's obviously credit to the amount of experience that he has. But he's obviously just playing for the love of the game at this point.
There's that man Norris inside, forced a shot up. I think he thinks he's going to the free throw line, but the official has determined that to be an offensive foul. You can cue the astonished look, and there it is. I don't know if Sean Norris was trying to sell that one.
I think there's always a little bit of playing into contact and appealing for fouls, even if you don't necessarily think that they're entirely there, or you've done something wrong as well. You've always got to make the attempt at least.
Certainly that was selling 101. Unsuccessful. Just over a minute remaining, second quarter. Spartans really with it all to do. Forward, inside, catches. Sees a double team, flicks it back out. Unfortunately, they've turned it over. Kavanagh, the slick hands, makes the layup.
It's just those little passes, those little almost the 1% jobs that we talk about that aren't being done by the Southern District Spartans, or aren't being done necessarily to the level that they need to be. I think that wasn't even necessarily a bad pass from Jake Fuller, but I think the communication just wasn't there. The players just not being on the same page as each other.
Zach Binns launches another three, can't get it to go. Meanwhile, there's a leak out from Moncrief. He goes the two-hand underhand layup. Almost up to half-time. Chance for one more possession for Spartans. See if they can get something positive to finish the half. Joe Kavanagh with the foul there. Wheelcats not in the bonus yet, so it'll be Spartans ball from the sideline. Just 7 seconds remaining till half-time. Spartans find themselves down 20. Ball in, Binns, closely guarded by Kavanagh. He's going to have to force something up here. Might go skyhook. No, he thinks better of it. Didn't really have a shooting angle. He drops the ball. Officials pick it up. That'll do us half-time. It's the Perth Wheelcats 44 leading the Southern District Spartans 24. And we'll be back in just a moment.
G'day everyone, I'm Clarence McCarthy Grogan. I play for the Southern District Spartans and we're here at Narrandjeri Stadium for Kevin Coombs' Indigenous Round. The Indigenous Round is so important because it shows the sport of wheelchair basketball that was led by Uncle Kevin Coombs, an Indigenous Paralympian and just an all-round great guy and a very inspirational leader for not just Indigenous wheelchair basketballers but people all around the country because of what he had to go through and trailblazed. It feels really cool to have all the teams here. It's almost like a bit of a finals sort of weekend if the vibe is like that. It's just great to have that social interaction with everybody because we don't actually get to see each other too often throughout the season. You know, just great to see everyone at one location for the first time. Having Indigenous Round to kick off NAIDOC Week is awesome. It's an awesome concept. We're down here in Melbourne. You know, it's pretty cold for me coming from Darwin, but look, it's a great concept because it showcases what wheelchair basketball is all about, inclusivity, and it's just great to showcase wheelchair basketball and the Indigenous athletes that do play wheelchair basketball at the highest level in the country.
I'm Nicholas Marachi. I'm a Senior Manager in a Tax Services team here at William Buck in Victoria. William Buck has a really good environment of innovating and really changing things up where we need to adapt. And as tax law changes, our way of administering it and our way of preparing advice also changes, and we're adapting to that. The firm has a really good culture of acknowledging good behaviours and good efforts and outstanding outcomes from staff members. The Victorian office offers an Excellence Award to an outstanding staff member. That was a really humbling experience for me. Usually I'm not short for words, but I was short for words at that point in time.
Wheelchair basketball emerged shortly after World War II after it was developed by injured servicemen. It became a foundation Paralympic sport at the 1960 Games and is now one of the world's most recognisable wheelchair sports. Athletes who play wheelchair basketball have a physical impairment. All players use a wheelchair to compete, although some don't use a wheelchair in everyday life. The court dimensions and basket height for wheelchair basketball are the same as the able-bodied version of the sport, as is the playing time and number of players on court. Wheelchair basketball classifications range between 1 and 4.5 points. Players with a classification of 1.0 have the highest level of impairment, while players in the 4.5 point class have the highest level of physical function to be eligible for the sport. The wheelchairs used during a game are specially designed to support players and help them move around the court. During a match, the classifications of the 5 players on the court are added together and must reach a total of no more than 14 points. The object of the game is to score the most points in the opposing team's basket. The team with the most points by the time the clock expires wins. Wheelchair basketball is a contact sport. The sport is so fast that it can be difficult for athletes to stop in time, meaning contact is inevitable and can result in some spectacular collisions. While contact is permitted and even encouraged, head-on collisions are strictly forbidden and can result in fouls or even ejection from the game. For more information on wheelchair basketball, visit paralympic.org.au.
Why Red Dust? I like here and I like the team. I love Melbourne. Yeah. This season, I see all the players be better. Last season is a little bit less. This season be better, maybe because make a job in this year. I think I'm happy about this. Yeah, my style is more aggression, to put pressure on another player, don't give him to breathe, and now work. Yeah.
Sabri Bezzetti, guarda tutte le partite Wheelchair Basketball Australia.
Welcome back to Roland Cowan Stadium, Arena on the Gold Coast. Look at some of the highlights of the first half of a stellar performance from the Perth Wheelcats. They lead by 20 over the Southern District Spartans, who had their moments. See Luke McDowell there making a layup. Ben Moncrief leading all scorers at the moment. A 3 there, 17 of the 44 points for the Wheelcats. It's been the turnovers and the amazing shooting percentage from the Wheelcats that's seen them dominate.
Yeah, I think the Wheelcats have just had so much pressure under the basket, and so many ways to move the ball, get the ball kind of into positions that they really like. Again, I have to give credit to Frank Pinder. The amount of work that he does, not only off ball but on the ball, getting those rebounds, drawing that those passes through lanes. He does so much work that doesn't necessarily show up on the scorecard, doesn't give him points necessarily, but allows the play to happen. And I think there's so much play that happens around him because of the work that he does. And someone like Ben Moncrief is learning and doing so well to adapt to how much work that he puts in, and really capitalize on the work that Frank Pinder does. And they work really well together. You'll see them play often on one side as that traditional high-low side, and work to get Ben Moncrief inside and get him in the paint. And that's really credit to Frank Pinder and the amount of work that he does.
Yeah, as we look at some of the raw numbers, the Wheelcats, it's almost self-explanatory. 19 made 2-point field goals compared to just 10 for the Spartans. And they've only turned the ball over 4 times compared to the 12 times the Spartans have. Yeah, Frank Pinder, the highlight for me was his little Frank Pinder magic show on transition, the little body shimmy, pass fake, and something we don't see as often. We certainly do associate Frank with appearing out of nowhere to snavel offensive rebounds, setting back picks. Yeah, he's one of the masters of the lower point play, being just a 1-point player.
Yeah, and I think he's really taken over that role from someone like Ethan Laird, who Ethan Laird's not playing at the moment. And I think Frank, or at least I'm going to give him the credit that I think Frank noticed that and decided that someone had to be the spectacular one, someone taking a little bit of that showmanship from someone like Ethan Laird while he's not playing, and he's really taken that in his stride.
Pinder with the ball now. Of course, being a 1-point player, 14 points the maximum any team can have on the floor at any one time. Point categories associated with ability and mobility. Another turnover there from the Spartans. What an ideal start. They've started each quarter exactly the same way with a slew of turnovers.
Yeah, the Spartans just haven't been able to find their way to really get something comfortable, to get a little bit of momentum going. As we keep saying, every time that the Spartans do something right and get something going, the Wheelcats just respond stronger and manage to kind of throw them off their game again.
Spillane and Moncrief exchanging passes. Kavanagh flies middle, or flies through the middle, makes that layup. And poor old head coach Tom Kyle, head coach of the Spartans. He was, of course, coach of the year last year in the league. Must be scratching his head at the starts of each period from his team. They have the ball now. Zach Binns uses a screen from Foxley Conley, comes back around again, thought about the three, flips it across to McDowell. Shot clock becoming an issue. McDowell goes glass, can't get it to fit. Kavanagh the rebound. Kavanagh looks inside. Finds Spillane cutting. His shot's deflected. There's a leak out. McDowell found his way down the floor, but incredibly missed the layup. Kavanagh never giving up on anything. Pursued. Got hold of the rebound. He weaves his way inside. Throws it behind the back pass. Finds its way to Moncrief via Spillane. Moncrief, baseline. Looking to set up for one of his baseline shots. He puts it straight off the side of the backboard. Here's another transition opportunity for Tau. Cut off by the superior speed of Spillane. He looks, wheels around, gets Spillane on his side. Collects himself, can't get it to go. Spillane, the one-hand rebound straight to Kavanagh. He throws the three-quarter court pass that catches the back wheel of Moncrief. It's another turnover. It's a turnover fest here at the moment. Zach Binns finds Kavanagh guarding him. He finds a lovely cut from Seabar, who finishes. The pass was beautifully thrown out in front of Seabar. Didn't have to break his speed.
You just needed something to go right for one of the teams here. That kind of those back and forths where neither team is kind of getting anything to go. They just need something to kick in.
As meanwhile, Jordan Moritz goes boom from three. Since we highlighted the lack of success for both teams there. It's been raining threes. There's another bad backcourt turnover, pass thrown just out of the reach of Zach Binns. Moritz scoops it up, finds Moncrief. He's got three defenders around him. Can't get it to go. Tau the rebound. He's held up, flips it ahead. McDowell is almost running out of bounds there. Flips a pass inside to Binns. Finds two defenders. McDowell tries to free the space. Binns to Foxley Conley, back to Binns. He was thinking about three. Deterred by Moritz, who's now in a bit of trouble. In fact, just before he turned it over, the shot clock violation was identified as the buzzer went off in the background.
Yeah, the Spartans just not really finding their way in the forward half. I think that again, that pressure from the Wheelcats, that up court pressure and cutting off those passing lanes. We've seen the Spartans try to look for those long passes that really isn't the way that they're going to be able to deal with someone like the Wheelcats. With the amount of height and speed that they have, they need to just slowly move it up, make short passes, easy passes, and then get into some form of set offense.
Straha almost had a transition opportunity there, but it's cut off. We see Seabar just temporarily out of his chair, official stopping the game. Shot clock resets to 14. Almost at the midway point of the third quarter. Just round 5 clash of the National Wheelchair Basketball League, brought to you by Bright Sky Australia. And of course, great partners, William Buck. Ball inside from Fatau. Binns takes a look in, but won't go. Frank Pinder's there. Another rebound for him. Yes, baseline, finds Moncrief, throws a beautiful touch pass. Fantastic stuff there. ball. He almost just used his hand as a guide to flip that pass ahead. Al Jeffrey converting the final product. Fatau wheels around, looks at three. Unusual for him, but he makes it. Boom! Nicky Fatau showing some previously undiscovered range.
And I think that's what the Spartans have needed to find, and it's coming in late in this game. But they just need to find something different for their way forward. They're trying to play. They really look like they're trying to play the same way that they would with Ethan Laird and Clarence McCarthy-Grogan, who both aren't here and aren't here to kind of settle the way that they play. I think they need to shift into something different and play towards their strengths that they do have. They're playing towards the strengths that they usually have with players that aren't there at the moment.
It's a tricky replacement. About 90% of their possessions would work through either Seabar or McCarthy-Grogan. So it's quite the restructuring operation for the Spartans. Just a slight delay now. Some substitutions roll onto the floor. Nat Hongshree on in number 7 for the Wheelcats. Baseline inbound straight to Moncrief. Not much the Spartans could do about that, but Moncrief's long. Fatau looking long himself. Seabar took a lot of balance up, went to that left hand, just couldn't get it to go. Moncrief. Hongshree finds his way inside, changes sides. Unfortunately, a travel's call there.
Yeah, I was wondering if that one would get called. Just that little bump on. I think it was actually his elbow that he was using to adjust the way that he was moving. But any touch of the wheels is considered. And I was wondering if that change of direction was a little bit of chair control, and whether that would get called.
Just to explain for anybody who's not familiar, Campbell, with the number of pushes per bounce.
Yeah, so you can touch your wheels twice before needing to bounce the ball. It's not based on distance, which means either both hands together at the same time is considered one touch of the wheels, or one hand and then one hand separately is considered 2 touches. So in theory, if you can get the speed that you need with 2 pushes, you can go the entire length of the court. And you'll see a lot of players do that when they're posting up inside the key. When they've got a little bit of movement, they'll hold the ball above their head and just use their hips to twist and use that movement rather than bringing it back down and potentially getting that travel.
We see the Spartans foul before the shot attempt. Ben Moncrief again trying to advocate for a shooting foul. Nothing doing. Meanwhile, the previous play, Nicky Fatau took his total to 9 points. Moncrief, of course, leading all scorers with 19 for the Wheelcats. And he has the ball inside at the moment. He does draw some contact this time. No, in fact, it was a 3-second call. Just had a wheel just inside the rectangular keyway.
I think it might have been a technical foul.
I think he might have said something there, and he'd appealed a couple of times before. Officials have done a very efficient job today, and they were quick previously to say, yep, fair enough, but that's the last vocal complaint we're going to tolerate.
Riley Spicer, referee Riley Spicer as well. I have a lot of respect for Riley. His dad, Barry Spicer, was an international referee in the wheelchair basketball game, and he's kind of moved into that space as well. So he has a lot of experience that he learned over the time working alongside his dad, and I think he referees a very similar way to what Barry used to do.
course, Riley Spicer, referring as part of a 3-person team along with Laura Conway and Brodie Krompich today. Sometimes forget about the officials. The game goes nowhere without officials. Down now, flips the pass across. Binge does a good job to reel it in. Pass just a little hot through the middle. Seabar couldn't get hold of it. The Wheelcats looking pretty comfortable at the moment, leading by 21. Just a touch over 3 minutes remaining, third quarter. This will enable the Wheelcats to push 2 games ahead of the Spartans in the standings. They'd be in 4th spot, the Wheelcats, and looking likely to finish in the last finals position for the finals, the WBA men and women's finals, of course from the 21st to the 23rd of August at the State Basketball Centre in Melbourne. The final round of both competitions, the final regular season round, will be next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Teams will have then 14 days to get themselves organised for the finals, the teams that qualify.
And with this round and with the round to come, it's actually looking like it'll be a really interesting way to the finals. There's a couple of teams in that 3rd and 4th position that really could change up a little bit of how things look. And as we've seen over this weekend, the Red Dust Healers and the Manly Wheel Eagles matching up. And the Red Dust Healers really giving it to Manly, who were sitting on the top of the board.
Yeah, we just saw a beautiful screen and roll play from another low point player, Straha, there for the Spartans, and it's answered quickly by Moncrief. Yeah, plenty to play for, and fantastic last round next weekend as the top 2 teams, Wollongong and Manly, face off. It'll be interesting to see the strategy of that, knowing they're both locked in for the finals. The return of Tom O'Neill-Thorne, of course, for Manly changes their dynamic significantly.
Yeah, you'll see that for a couple of teams that will be bringing back their players that were away in the Com Games, and they'll be coming in next week. I think there's only a couple, especially in the women's league, who have been playing, or women playing in the men's league over this weekend, who have actually decided to suit up for this weekend rather than take the break. But it will be a very interesting way for that last round to go.
Yeah, of course, Tasha Ovens and Hannah Dodd both suiting up for their respective men's teams this weekend, fresh off the plane from Glasgow. They won a bronze medal over there in the 3x3 competition. And the men led by Tom O'Neill-Thorne and the absent Ethan Laird. And the Spartans, of course, taking the gold medal with the 1913 win over England, one of the highlights of the entire games. Spillane now with the ball for Perth. Skips it across the floor. Downey snaps it back to Spillane. He rolls into a 3. Takes a look in and rolls out. Straha couldn't get to that rebound, neither could Spillane. He dribbled it onto the sideline.
That's such a frustrating ball to try and collect, knowing that you can't quite get there with pace. You've got a defender sitting on the other side of you, but you want to try and fight for the ball, and that's what you see a lot of the younger players do. That regardless of whether a ball's going in or out, they will fight for it relentlessly. And it's just a frustrating thing, knowing that it was going to go out probably regardless, but still trying to get there.
Spillane flips it middle. Blackmore back to Spillane. He makes the 2. Haven't seen a lot of Alex Blackmore tonight in 43 for the Wheelcats. Another one of the budding young players in the league trying to find their way in what is a world-class competition. Across the baseline. Another shot's off there. Aisha Keatley able to get that to go. Both coaches liberally substituting, giving players an opportunity to demonstrate what they might have. Both teams still in contention for the finals. Downey, along with that 3. There's a crash of chairs, pursue the rebound. Blackmore sailed out of his chair. He gets in a hand to get up. And we're going to see a timeout. Sam Moncrief comes onto the floor just to make the manager of the Perth Wheelcats to make sure everything's okay. They seem a little unsure if they actually are calling a timeout there. No, I think it was an impromptu conference. Coach Tom Kyle seemed in no hurry to break the conference. The officials are trying to get things moving again. In fact, it was because there was just a second remaining. The players thought it might have been three-quarter time. It wasn't, but now it is. And it's the Perth Wheelcats 57 leading the Southern District Spartans 34. We'll be back for the final quarter action in just a moment.
From grassroots to the pros, I'd love to see that.
Where style meets performance, I'd love to see that.
Supporting champions and inspiring the next generation, I'd love to see that.
Welcome back to the Gold Coast, Roland Cowan Stadium for the final quarter action here. The Perth Wheelcats look very much like taking a sweep of their 3-game series against the Spartans and putting themselves pretty securely, although the Victoria Marbles might have something to say about that as they play the Wheelcats in the last round, pretty securely in that 4th spot for the finals.
Yeah, the Southern District Spartans just not able to find really their way into scoring and getting some more settled ways of playing. Obviously, not having a couple of their key players that they utilize for big minutes or almost full minutes in previous games. They just haven't really been able to find a way to control the ball. I think even aside from their scoring line, just that ability to look after the ball, get it moving in a comfortable way and get it into their forward half safely and kind of then look to set something up. They just haven't been able to do that consistently.
Jake forward, finds his way inside. He's a little too tall for Blackmore there. He shoots straight over the top and makes it. Spillane probing. Downey, thought about passing. Thought about shot. The ball sat on the rim for a couple of seconds and just bobbled out. Ball inside again to Fullwood. He controls and shoots in one hand. Can't get it to go. Spillane the other way. Looking inside. Downey, long arms. Draws some contact. He'll roll to the free throw line.
It's those kind of moments with both on the Spartans and now the Perth Wheelcats. where I think back to the thing that we've been talking about with the Red Dust healers, Sabri Bedzedi. One of the things that he does consistently is that first shot that he puts up is actually really just to adjust himself and get the rebound off his own shot and get himself into a more consistent position. I think players don't rely on that as much as they need to and just readjust themselves. Often shots are taken in a pretty uncomfortable manner, and they're really the shots that aren't going to go, and you're kind of not rewarding yourself. You get to the position that you need to and then just not finishing strong.
Yeah, I think playing in a league alongside Sabri Bedzedi is a chance to watch a masterclass in taking off as soon as you release the ball, if not almost looks like before sometimes. Kane Downey finds a transition opportunity. He draws a little bit of contact and will head back to the free throw line.
And this is where you start to see teams get... obviously, the Spartans probably feeling that they're not really in contention with this game anymore, and the game starts to get a little bit scrappy. And that's I wonder what the statistic would be of the amount of fouls that come in a last quarter, especially when games are a little bit of confidence towards one team winning. And, you end up just seeing a little bit more contact than usual.
And that was for Tau's fourth foul for the Spartans. Maybe a little academic in terms of the scoreline, but he's certainly been a valuable piece in terms of ball control. And left a lot of the ball handling duties. Sraha can't get that to go. Hong Street comes the other way, weaves around. Finds Spillane inside his cut off. Balances. Shoots. And in fact, we've got a technical foul on head coach Tom Kyle there. He's a little aggrieved with something. Officials just conferring to see if the shot that was taken at about the same time the technical foul was assessed will count. And Kyle pleading his case. Well, Swaddling. You have to take a shot. Left with that technical free throw. Came up a little short. Spillane looks at a three. It's way long. Spartans, story of the day. Turned it over again. Spillane tries to throw a weaving hook pass, underhand inside. It's poked away.
And that transition from the Spartans, just trying to make that long pass, those kind of awkward passes, rather than just move the ball up consistently. I think that's something that they'll have to look back on and really think about. Not only for the fact that those long passes are difficult to make and aren't as consistent, but just the decision making that got them to the point that they had to make those passes. That's it's not always on the ball handler to deal with those positions, but sometimes the rest of the team to put them in a position where they can actually use the ball.
Longstreet has that pass or potential pass poked away. It's just 3 seconds on the shot clock for the Wheelcats to come up with something. Downey realises that and snaps a shot off. It's way off. Seabar, the rebound, tries to find Sraha, can't do so, but the Tau's there to mop it up. Back to Seabar, switches hands, rolls around, looks at the roller, draws some contact before he could find Fullwood.
Forward with the little after the foul attempt to at least pretend to put the ball up, and that was probably one of the closest shots that we've seen from that range. It's a funny thing. I think that there has to be something about the ability for shots to go in when they aren't able to count.
As we see Fatau with an offensive rebound and a putback. Spillane floats a pass to some of the spectators who are sitting behind the baseline. Quite a healthy crowd in for this early morning contest, starting at 10 a.m. Queensland time. Moncrief's back on the floor for the Wheelcats. A bit of backcourt pressure. The Tau can't heal that pass in, but it was poked away by a Wheelcat. Now the ball's into the front court. Forward. Nice baseline. The Wizard back on. Picks him up. Frank Pinder appears from nowhere, as he always does, to mop up a steal. Flips it back. They could have been over and back, I think, but officials let the play go. And they've wiped off a Jake Kavanagh basket for a 3-second violation.
That was really lucky not to get that back, that cross court violation. I think the argument being that the ball was out of the player's control before they crossed the half. I think there'd be an argument either way there. That's just a little lapse in judgment.
That's one for the video ref that we don't have, thankfully. Wizard gets a rebound there to add to his tally. They turn it over full with those long arms. Sometimes you don't realise what's he doing. A lovely bit of innovative magic there from Fatau. He did the little in and away, scooped it up with his right hand. The Wizard rolling the other way. Cut off by Shraha, gets around him, goes to the right hand on the left-hand side and finishes. Speculative pass finds its way to the... Only forward could have reeled that in, I think. Pursued, Pinder lurking around. The Tau takes a look at another three. That one's a mile off. Wizard with the ball. It's always dangerous for defenders. Weaving across, committing defenders. So we're going to see a no-look pass here. No, it was a half pass, half shot, and it was deflected. And what do you know? There's a Southern District's player wide open in the front court.
And that's what the Spartans have done a few times. They've been able to get that leak out pretty consistently against the Wheelcats. I think the Wheelcats really focusing on their offensive side and not necessarily having that player play the defensive role when they're not necessarily in shooting contention. I think that's one of the few times that the Spartans have actually been able to convert on that shot, and that's one thing that they'll probably look back on, is just those layups and being consistent in that job. It's one of those shots. It's like a free throw where we say that, like, it should be a relatively comfortable shot. You don't have too much pressure on you. It should be relatively easy, and I think that's what makes it so difficult. It makes it so consistent to lose that shot, but there's just a little bit too much freedom.
Jake Kavanagh goes boom from the corner. Left wide open. They've been daring him to shoot tonight, and it's certainly a shot that he's got in his arsenal. He gets into the front court. Seabar, the long arm of Fullwood, comes to get it, throws a couple of pass fakes, gets the Wizard back into the passing lane. No easy thing to do to confuse the Wizard.
It's a fascinating thing watching Sean Norris play. He's obviously he's moved more into a coaching role, but you can tell that court IQ and his intelligence in the way that he plays has never changed, and that's clearly why he's moved into the coaching pathway. Is just the amount of skill that he has, and his skill expression is still so beautiful.
Hayden Seabar just rolls into a three and goes boom. It's not one we see from him all the time. Certainly looked very smooth. Frank Pinder says, I can do that. No, he can't on this occasion. It really is a bit of circus time at the moment. There's the Wizard. Incredible when you think about his career. 6 Paralympics. And this is a layup there. Gets a gold medal in Beijing, silver in Athens, silver in London. One of the most decorated careers in the history of Paralympic sport. Fatal makes another one inside, pushes his tally up to 15 points. He's toiled away hard tonight. He's had ball handling duties. Created a bit of scoring. Played almost 30 minutes. Just 3 minutes remaining. We're going to see a 5-on-5 substitution for the Wheelcats. The Wizard takes the opportunity to get himself and his 4 teammates off the floor.
It's not too often that you see that entire roster change for a split second. I thought they might have been calling the game earlier. We're all heading to the bench. But I don't think I've ever seen that so far through this season. A full host change.
Yeah, you quite often see it when a coach is extremely frustrated with the 5 players on the floor and their inability to execute the plan. But yeah, certainly I can't remember seeing that this year. Anyway, the ball back with the Wheelcats as we tick down a little over 2.5 minutes remaining. Another 3's up there from Moritz. Left-hander, won't go. Seabar's played 37 minutes so far tonight. He's been fantastic. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists from the low point Australian Rollers star. Of course, well in contention for that team that Brad Ness will eventually have to configure for the World Championships to be held in Ottawa in September. It's really a festival of elite wheelchair basketball this year. That man Seabar gets a bit of contact, launches a shot, can't get it to go. As for Tau again, he comes straight back to McDowell, can't get it to go. Binns is there for the offensive rebound and the putback.
That's what the Spartans have needed to look like. Obviously, it's a little bit too late in this game, but that's really their strength. That kind of those ball movements, getting Binns under the basket, not forcing him into the outside shots that he's had to take a few times, and just getting something simple and consistent in playing around the skills that they do have on the court.
Binns streaming the other way. Gets around Blackmore, can't finish. Wheelcats pushing, Moritz drives baseline, cut off by McDowell. Finds Blackmore, he throws a nice cross-court hook pass. Spillane, it's a great job to get around a defender. Moritz baseline, makes it fit. And in fact, we're going to see another technical foul. Perhaps a timeout. 2 signals from the official there, very close together. A timeout and the technical. Of course, teams can substitute. It's not a timeout, it's just a substitution opportunity, Israel. Inside the last 2 minutes on a made basket. And you don't think about it very often. Anyway, play goes on. Swaddling with a chance to finish, he does. Himself on the score sheet. Binns tries to drive, cut off by Blackmore. And Barbo's on the floor there, pass intended for him, poked away. Dying stages of this round 5 clash, which will result in a sweep for the Wheelcats, entrench them in 4th position. Longstreet's 3 is long. Binns with the rebound. The Spartans can pretty much run this right down. What a 7-second differential. Shot clock, game clock. Seabar looks to flip inside. Pass can't quite get to Binns. Zach
I
Binns
think that's almost a perfect example of the things that the Spartans haven't quite been doing to the level that they need to. It was the right decision, that pass with Binns having a pretty good mismatch there, but the pass just being almost at his chest level, or even a little bit below that, straight into the defender that was there. Zach Binns is a tall player. Put that pass high up into his hands, and he has a much easier opportunity there. I think those little 1% jobs just aren't being done.
Meanwhile, in the background, the final buzzer goes off, and it's the Perth Wheelcats who've been great value this weekend. They take a 3-0 sweep over the Southern District Spartans. The Spartans, of course, missing Ethan Laird and Clarence McCarthy-Grogan. 72-51 this game, to pile on top of their 70-54 win on Saturday and 73-51 on Friday night. A game where head coach Sean Norris, head coach of the Wheelcats, was able to roll through his bench pretty liberally. Plenty of players, plenty of young players getting an opportunity to play and contribute. And undoubtedly that will help them as they head towards a hopeful final spot. We look at some of the final statistics. The Wheelcats, 31 made 2-point field goal shots compared to just 20 for the Spartans. That about sums it up. So the coaches heading across. Rebounding finished up even, but the turnover deficit, the Spartans really, without their primary ball handlers, found it hard to get into half-court offense and to avoid turning the ball over.
Yeah, and I think it was even more than just the ball handling. I think not having someone that they're relying on, and someone that holds the Spartans to a little bit more accountability, forced them into some errors that really they wouldn't normally make. Those passes, not necessarily being from a bad ball handler, but just not necessarily committing to those decisions and making those passes with intention and getting there consistently. And I think that is a credit to the way the Wheelcats played as well. I think they really capitalized on those mistakes, forced the ball so consistently into positions that the Spartans didn't have a passing option from. Often they were trapping the ball in that corner and really forcing someone like Hayden Seabar, who's a fantastic player, but he is a low point player and he sits pretty low. It's a hard pass to make from defenders covering you in the corner to then get it out to somewhere useful.
Yeah, as we look at some of the highlights from the second half, an individual perspective, Nicky Fatau led the scoring for the Spartans with 15 points to go along with 13 rebounds. He was very productive tonight. And Benjamin Moncrief with 23, right on his season average. Jake Kavanagh with 15 points there. He was pretty much automatic every time he was left open. Managed to nail a couple of threes as well. So we look there for Tau, lovely pass inside to Philip Straha. Youngster Cooper Spillane was certainly solid. He's still finding his craft at this elite level. The Tau there again. He was all over the place. That was one of his little magic trick shots. And of course, we saw a wizard sighting. Sean Norris doing Sean Norris type things. Frank Pinder there with a lovely pass to Moncrief, who finished over his shoulder. And of course, Frank Pinder was doing Frank Pinder things. Rebounding, appearing from nowhere. Jake Kavanagh showing his range there. Zach Binns certainly tried hard for the Spartans. But that'll wrap things up. That's the end of this series. Still a couple of games remaining. You can watch the conclusion. Well, one of those games is halfway through at the moment. The other one to start shortly. That'll conclude round 5. All games in the men and women's leagues available on the WBA YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. On behalf of my co-commentator Campbell Fraser, it's Brendan Parnell signing off from the Gold Coast. And we hope to see you for the final round next week.
I'm Georgia, and welcome to William Buck, a firm that is reimagining the way advisors work. Come with me and take a peek behind closed doors. Exceptional advice comes from passionate people who feel empowered to shape outcomes. Our teams include audit and assurance, business advisory, corporate finance, restructuring and insolvency, superannuation, tax, and wealth advisory. These teams work together to create a tangible impact for our clients.